Can you fulfill all your dreams from your grave? The answer to that lies in this video, and in short, it's a yes, provided you have these three ingredients in you: vision, courage, and patience. Hey folks, I am CSK, your personal coach, and I'm here today to talk to you about how you can continue to live your dreams and fulfill those dreams from your grave. Now, this might sound quite puzzling or surprising as to how can I fulfill my dreams even after I am gone? But the answer to that is yes. And who has told us is the famous Roebling family. If you look at the story of the Roebling family, it's a story of the vision to build, the courage to challenge, and the patience to persevere. And that's why I said, if you have the vision, the courage, and the patience, we all can make our dreams come true even from our graves. Before I get into the Roebling family story, let me tell you what made me learn about this and how I paid my tribute to this fantastic family. This was 2016 and I was in the United States. And when I was supposed to come back after my trip and my conference, I did do an adventure. I was on the west coast of USA and I was supposed to take my flight back to India. But what I did was to travel all the way, cut across the country and go to the east coast. And at the east coast, I stopped over for 4 hours, a little over 4 hours. The minute I landed at New York, came out of the airport, took a taxi and went straight to the Brooklyn Bridge. Yes, the famous Brooklyn Bridge connecting the Manhattan Island and the Brooklyn on Long Island over the East River. That's a bridge which is epitome and testimony to a family's passion. Yes, the legend and the story goes like this. It's the longest bridge of the time, took over 13 years for completion and spanning over 6,000 meters in length. You know, when John Augustus Roebling came up with this thought, a crazy thought at that time of connecting two masses of land, people, although respected him for he was a reputable immigrant engineer from the United Kingdom, still they did not take it seriously because this on its face appeared to be a crazy idea. Nobody at that time in 1883 had dreamt of such an adventure. So people thought, although it's a great idea to listen to speak about, but it is definitely not a good idea to embark upon it or to actually think of implementing it. And thus, John Augustus Roebling's dreams were thrashed even before they took color. But John was not a man to give up so easily. Somehow he mustered all his resources and caught hold of the then mayor of New York, and convinced him to put together a team under his leadership to actually build that bridge. He convinced him, saying how much of benefit it will bring in to commuters and the kind of travel time it will save when it cuts across the East River. So finally, the day arrived where John was supposed to start off the construction for the famous Brooklyn Bridge, or at least the famous bridge in his mind at that point in time. But luck thought otherwise, or fate played spoil sport. So John met with an accident on site, and because of that, he collapsed and he died almost immediately. So the dream, which began with a lot of conviction and a lot of convincing, hit a roadblock. Now, immediately it gave birth to a lot of naysayers and strengthened their voice, saying, "We told you so. We knew this is going to happen. We knew that this was not something which we could have thought of implementing, but you never listened to us." Now, there was a kind of a slump or a kind of a gap for almost few months, because the construction and the plans and the city has already made announcements, but now the chief engineer is no more. Over a period of some time, when the plans were shelved, another man comes up. Now this time it's John's son, Washington Roebling. Again a civil engineer by training. He said, "I'm going to take this dream, the unfulfilled dream of my father, and I'm going to make it real. I'm going to make it see the light of the day." Now, immediately, there were a few set of people who were actually cheering for John when he went ahead with his dream and the bridge construction. They all supported Washington, and Washington Roebling started off his work. The work went on very well. For the next 5 or 6 months, it was going at good pace. Finally, there was some respite for all the supporters, and there was some frustration for all the naysayers. But unfortunately, fate did play spoil sport one more time. But this time, because Washington Roebling was supposed to go underwater and stay there to supervise the construction and also the pillars below the water, at one time, at one such inspection, his entire carriage got stuck underwater and he was there for over 12 hours. That accident costed him his entire life. But luckily, he survived. He did not die. He came out in an unconscious state for all the medical reasons, but he was pronounced paralytic. He had a stroke and everything below his neck was nothing but a vegetable. But luckily for Washington, his brain was still functioning. It took him more than a year and a half to recover. Slowly, with a little bit of exercises and little bit of medication and extreme conviction, he could tap or move his fingers. And with that, he takes on completion of that particular dream of constructing the Brooklyn Bridge. Now, but here it's not crazy, it's not easy, right? He is almost like a vegetable lying on the bed. His brain still is working, but you can imagine the frustration, the restlessness, for he cannot get himself onto the site. Now, he used his wife, Emily Roebling, to do the honors of translating his ideas and thoughts to reality. He requested her, and she was not a trained engineer by profession or by coaching, but she still cooperated and she decoded the plans, the concepts in the mind of Washington and put them onto paper, and she played multiple roles. She was a decoder, she was a patient listener, she was also the messenger between Washington and the set of engineers, the team of engineers at the site. Finally, long story short, 13 long years later, the famous Brooklyn Bridge came into being. There are many stories available on internet and YouTube where you can look at these pictures, what I'm talking about, these stories which I have just narrated, and also how different scientific facts and medical stories have come out on Washington Roebling's health. But long story short, coming to the purpose of this particular video, the courage, patience, and more importantly, the vision. The vision to build of John Augustus Roebling. The courage to challenge of Washington Roebling, and the patience to persevere of Emily Roebling brought together what we today know as the Brooklyn Bridge. Remember friends, when it was built, it was the longest bridge ever known to mankind. 1883, 13 long years later, it was dedicated to humanity. So when I went to US and I did the detour from the west coast to the east, stopped over at New York for a little over 4 hours, I straight went to Brooklyn Bridge. For what? Now you have the answer. To pay my tribute to that great family who taught us that you and I can fulfill our dreams even from our grave. Because remember, when the bridge was finally dedicated to people, citizens of New York, the man who saw the picture, who conceived it, was no longer alive. But his dreams came true thanks to his family. Thanks, as I said, to the courage and patience which came together to support his vision. So if you are looking at dreaming something, by all means, go ahead and dream them. Dream so that they will come true, for you know now that if you bring in these three elements, dreams can be fulfilled even from our graves. You know, I am reminded of Dr. Abdul Kalam's famous quote. He said, "Dreams are not those which you see when you sleep. Dreams are those which keeps you awake in the night while you sleep." There's a fantastic power behind this quote, isn't it? Because when we know what we want to do, you become restless. And I call that as positively charged. And I know each one of you who are watching this video have experienced that more than once in your life. And what happens is when that positive energy fills our being, we need to do something exciting. We need to do something permanent. What's the best thing to do? Is to write that dream in the most vivid words. If you are good at painting, paint a picture. If you're good at drawing, draw a caricature. If you're good at writing, if you're good at speaking, if you're good at singing, do whatever it takes to capture that dream. And nobody is going to tell you that anything you can dream can be achieved easily. No. And you cannot definitely tell yourself that every dream can be accomplished effortlessly. No, you're bluffing. But if you persevere long enough, you will wear down your opposition, no matter who they are, no matter where they come from, and no matter how long it takes. So friends, if you are watching this video, you're watching this because you have a dream. And that dream should reach its fruition. And it will if you add these three ingredients. What is that? Number one, the vision to build like John Augustus Roebling. Number two, from Washington Roebling, the courage to challenge. And number three, Emily Roebling, patience to persevere. So I can give you many examples, many examples. In fact, one example from the field of cricket is Marwan Atapattu. I mean, look at his record. He was not performing for consecutive 16 innings. 16 innings. In that, 2 times he was sacked from his Sri Lankan national cricket team. But the 17th time he came back and then he went on to break a lot of records for his nation and in the game of cricket. Marwan Atapattu, he was even the captain of his team. Now perseverance will come in many ways. Each one of you will feel so great after you have accomplished. But once you have accomplished, stop there for a while and reflect on the other times you thought you will give up. You thought it is not going to work. You thought it's not going to happen. That's the beauty of perseverance. You hold on long enough, you will wear down your opposition. So if there is one thing which you would take from this video, remember, dreams can be fulfilled even long after you are gone, provided you put in these 3 ingredients. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Thank you for watching CSK Speaks, and thank you for subscribing to my channel. As I said, Tuesdays and Fridays are 2 days where I bring in different perspectives on life, leadership, lessons, entrepreneurship, and education for all of you. Keep watching, keep subscribing, and do me a favor. Share this video with at least 2 people who you know who can dream and make their dreams come true. Thank you.